Hi, my name is Grayson and I am 12 years old in Pee Wee's second year hockey.
And next year, how old will you be? In hockey.
Next year I will be 13 years old in hockey.
And what does that mean?
That means checking's coming up. The nervous part is I've seen a lot of injuries happen with checking, like concussions, broken bones, collarbones most of the time. This is the stage in the game where you can't make moves. Like, if you make a move, you're gonna get in the hospital. You're gonna go in the hospital, maybe.
You're really worried about going to the hospital, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, there are some pretty big kids in our league that can hit and put you in the hospital.
Hockey. It is the most beautiful sport in the world. A 200 by 85-foot fiberglass cage with a floor of water, frozen in time. Players wrapped in new-aged armor, standing on razor-sharp steel blades, 1/8 of an inch thick.
Gotta hear it. There it is.
For all the years my son has played hockey, it has been pure.
Let's hear it.
But I'm not sure exactly what captured his heart, because it isn't an easy game.
What is it?
Some skate! I got some skate!
You literally have to fall time and time again in order to just stand up. It helped that he had a constant friend and role model in his sister Cecilia.
Oh, my dad! Go, Sam!
So for the first 5 or so years of a player's experience, the rink is a classroom for life, full of happiness and growth. But during a player's 12th and 13th year of life, the game changes. Checking is abruptly introduced.
My coach is Michael Messner. He's my dad. Yeah.
All right, so today is our tryouts for a spring team. Yesterday was our last game ever as a non-checking group. Their entire world changes basically starting tonight. All right, hey, quiet. Be honest. Raise your hand if you're a little scared about checking.
I don't have to do it. I don't get you.
Did you see how scared everybody was when we talked about checking? They were nervous as hell. It messes with you. What you'll be amazed to see the different sizes of some of these kids. There'll be some that are almost my height, and then some that are 4 feet tall. And so that can be really scary for the kids. Bring it in. Over here. Take a knee over here. Take a knee over here. Have any of you gone through a checking clinic? One guy?
Okay, he's the only one you're allowed.
Yeah, he's the only one you're allowed to hit. Here's what we're gonna do, okay? We are not gonna let you guys check today. We have some different levels here of kids.
so we don't want anybody getting hurt. You can rub out on the boards like you normally do with body contact, but we do not want open ice collisions. For one more tryout, these kids are protected from checking. But in a few weeks at the fall team tryouts, there will be no way to protect them anymore. Ready, buddy? For me as a coach and as a dad, it is crucial for me to get my players and my son into a few checking clinics. But in the meantime, my daughter and I were traveling all the way to California for the U14 National Championships. Last year, Cecilia played check hockey with boys. Some were as many as 17 months older than her and outweighed her by as many as 85 pounds. Emotionally for her and me, it was more than worrisome. Her teammates through the year had 3 bone fractures and 4 concussions that were diagnosed. The saddest of all, at the end of the season, 2 of her teammates quit hockey entirely because of checking. So I was relieved when she decided to only play the girls' game. The girls' game is still very physical. Contact is common along the boards. But the speed is emphasized instead of brute strength. The actual skills shine through. The passing, shooting, and of course, skating. It's almost like the girls' game has more confidence in the game itself than the boys do, who have to add the element of violence just because they think the game is lacking something. I have seen thousands of games in my lifetime, and that week of girls hockey was as entertaining and as exciting as any games I have ever seen.
Down the wing, shorthanded. Tried to throw it on net. Blocked by Doherty. Comes up high. Powell. Slap shot. Glanced off a player in. It's Varney who wins it in overtime. Pittsburgh Penguins Elite has won it after being down by 2 goals. They get the game winner in overtime. The Pittsburgh Penguins Elite Squad are your 2019 USA Hockey National Champions of Tier 1 Girls.
It's going to take her brother a lot longer to acclimate to Czech hockey. Gray just isn't as developed or mature as Cecilia was. So as soon as we get back from California, I'm taking him to some checking camps. The first at the home of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Let the boss work now.
How we doing? All right, we're here for checking clinic, right? Yeah. Okay, so why do we check? Jack, what's one reason why we check?
Take the puck. Separate the player from the puck.
Yeah, separate the man from the puck. That's really the only reason we check.
For 2 days, these players hit mannequins.
That's all right. Hey, sometimes the dummy wins.
And when they hit properly, the dummy's head would routinely hit the glass at an alarming speed. Every scenario was extremely controlled, the exact opposite of hockey. I'm not sure what I expected, but my son would need a little more than this.
And no matter what he does, he won't be ready anyways.
Good work. Good work.
I'm Ainsley Smith, and I was originally a nurse and later went on to get my PhD in kinesiology and focused a lot on hockey and in the sports psychology areas. I really love hockey at its best, and I absolutely hate it at its worst. I don't like the emphasis on the roughness, and I think a lot of people deny that it is rough, but it is, even for the little kids. And the discrepancies in their growth, maturation, mental attitudes, the differences are so broad. And so some kids, I think, are really at high risk, whereas others are dishing out physical and mental trauma to their opponents. The maturation differences in the age group that your son is in now are just enormous, as you know. We have little wee kids that can hardly even see over the boards practically. Others that are shaving, loaded with testosterone, muscular development has been pretty much completed. And so these kids are playing against each other on the ice. The consequences can be really quite remarkable with clavicle, shoulder injuries, head injuries. Sometimes the kids are pushed into the glass and we're seeing concussions. So we just really can do better.
The team we share practice ice with is a year older, and last season we got to see them transition into checking firsthand. It was quite an eye-opening experience for my players.
Don't pass up an opportunity to bump somebody. You don't have to kill them. Bump them off the puck. It's important.
Roman Seco on that team, best hitter in the league probably.
So if you're going up against Roman Seco, what will you feel?
Scared. Scared.
And what will you do? Will that change your game, you think?
It'll probably put me in a hospital, maybe. Yeah.
But that's the reality of checking, right? You guys are going to have to play check hockey.
Yeah. But at least not against him, because I feel like he's given a few kids concussions, probably, hasn't he?
Referees also play a big role in youth hockey. When they don't call obvious penalties like jumps to the head,
That's a joke.
players run at each other a little more. Then, when they try to reestablish control, they often make the wrong call, like sitting a player for 10 minutes for a hit to the head that isn't. The referees have a hard enough job without adding checking to the mix. There is a reason the NHL has 4 officials on the ice at one time. 2 referees just cannot see all that goes on in a hockey game.
That's not.
One thing is certain, predatory players thrive. When you finish every check, you get in the other team's mind. And he isn't thinking about hockey anymore. He's thinking, that player is going to kill me.
Yeah! Let's go!
The scary part of this is that my team is now at the bantam level, just like that team. Even though they are a year older and have 1 year of checking under their belt. The next season, I watched them play a team very similar to mine. And the results were exactly as you would expect. The much bigger players on the bantam major team abused the younger team. In fact, one player suffered a concussion and another broke his collarbone. Watching them assured me that the right decision for this year's team is to only play against players born in the same year. It is called the birth year model, where players can only be a maximum of 12 months older than any other player, as opposed to as many as 2 years older.
Guy Godowski, I'm currently the head coach of the men's ice hockey team here at Penn State.
The age of 12 and 13, is that the right age to introduce checking?
Yeah, you know, that's a really tough question, when the right age is to introduce it, because I think there is, obviously, when you're more familiar with it at a younger age, there's less angst towards it. It's something you get used to, and it's not as big a deal. And I think it's not as big a deal to take advantage of it. Some youth that as soon as they're allowed checking, you know, the puck is now secondary. It used to be that's all you wanted to do is score goals and get the puck, and now all you want to do is hit someone. But at the same time, I know there's really good research out there on what ages the brain is most vulnerable to concussions, etc. So, and I think it's a tough question. And I think a lot of coaches and parents and players are probably wondering the same thing.
Get your back leg into it. You can't even get it high enough. Do you think you guys should be checking at your age, or do you think you should wait till everybody's the same size?
Well, sometimes kids like hit puberty at like a really, really young age, like 10 even, and they start to get bigger than everybody else, and they're just like leaving kids in the dust, and like they want to check probably. If you haven't hit puberty yet, maybe you should try out for a different team that won't hit.
How many of those teams exist?
Not many. Well, like, I don't really know, actually. I mean, all hockey teams hit.
Okay, so hey, listen, both of you. You should have did what? You should have cut to the middle, right? And you should have what? Took a better angle, okay? But he fell into your trap. This is how you get hit hard. When you look over your shoulder. When you're looking over your shoulder like this for a pass, guess what? You're gonna get killed. And whose fault is it?
Yours.
Two people. The guy that passed it, because he shouldn't even pass it to you, okay? And it's yours for putting yourself in that position. Make sense? So when we do this warm-up drill, make sure you get nice and low. Now I give you a pass here. Then you have your head up and get up ice. Oh, good. That would have been a good hit if you stayed what? If you stayed low. That was a good hit. You had shoulder on shoulder. You just stood up. And he's a pretty strong kid. Stay in front of him. Perfect, perfect. Good. There you go. Perfect. Perfect. Okay? You can't just go firing in. He went in, took time and space away, and then what did he do? He waited for what? The time to attack, and that was perfect. Good. Stick up puck. There you go. Stay with it. Good.
Some of them really are at high risk, and yet they're at risk doing something that they really love. And so it's up to us as adults to make the games better for them.
I must have told him 100 times to skate with his head up, and that is why. Even though it is a checking drill in a checking clinic, he wasn't ready for it. And my only job as a dad is to protect him. So I had to fight every instinct not to go over, pick him up, hug him, and get him off of the ice. I had to fight every instinct not to do that. I think if there was an EMT there, I bet they would have given him a concussion test and taken him off the ice. But as a player, that might have been the worst thing for him. This is a moment where he has to face that fear head on and answer the question, what am I made of? Everything in him wanted to run away, but he didn't. And I was proud of him. You have to face your fear head on, or you will always be afraid. And I do that with all of my players. When they get hit hard, I put them right back in and get them right back in that game, because you have to fight that fear. Otherwise, it will eat you alive.
Okay, go. Get up with him, get up with him. Oh! 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 That was good. Remember, hey, you got it, Josh. Puck or body. You don't take one, that's what happens.
Nova Scotia teen has played his last game of competitive hockey after suffering his 4th concussion after a hit to the head in a game last week.
What are the chances he plays hockey again?
I would say zero. Competitively, like contact hockey, competitive hockey, probably never.
At just 17 years old, Rowan has had 4 concussions.
To wake up and to go to bed and have a headache all day, and it's just, enough's enough. I probably suffered through 7 or 8 concussions.
The quality of life that repetitive traumatic brain injuries rob from you is, I would give back all of my money, I would give back all of the time. You can take my name off the Stanley Cup twice over. I can't live like that anymore, I just can't.
Michael J. Stewart, MD, Professor of Orthopedic Surgery, Chair, Division of Sports Medicine, Mayo Clinic. I'm also the Chief Medical Officer for USA Hockey and a member of the International Ice Hockey Federation Medical Committee.
Can you talk about USA Hockey's stance with checking through the years and how you've helped it change, or has it changed throughout the years?
Well, it's a very complicated process, and obviously there are many opinions about the sanctity of the game and certain skill development that's necessary to advance to higher levels. And so there was certainly some pushback when it came to changing the age of legal body checking to 13, in other words, the bantam level. Some opponents felt that it would alter the game, it would increase the risk of injury when checking was allowed, meaning when you got to the higher levels at bantam, since you didn't learn how to check as a peewee.
I carried my team the first year.
Exactly.
And then we...
Hey, is anybody scared for checking clinic?
No, kind of.
What?
Kind of.
You're one of the bigger kids here.
Bigger kids, though.
Nah.
Hank, are you scared?
You can let
Hank wants to deck someone. That's what he wants to do.
I already did for you.
I really don't know that there has to be real checking the way it's being done. I see way too much checking, which is almost running at a guy or a girl from at a right angle practically and just stapling them into the boards, crunch. And the brain inside the skull is taking a whack, the brain bounces forward and back in a contre coup. And that's not even an elbow or any direct hit to the brain, that's just a check. And I'd love to see the rub out used where you angle in and take the puck, and that be your full goal. And if you need to rub them out kind of in a motion that you're moving quickly and heading in and you keep the puck in, it makes so much more sense to me because it keeps the flow of the game moving instead of these huge big, I'm gonna check now, and then both the victim and the checker are sort of out of the play for a few seconds. So I'd like to see no real checking, but rather more the rub out.
Pull. He was 10.
Last year I only maxed out on 1.
We're checking what?
So separate the player from the puck.
Okay. So what shows the puck?
Stick.
So what is the first thing you make contact with?
Stick. Elbow.
Stick. Okay. So if I'm coming up the wall, okay. Yeah, hands control the stick, so that's good. But even more importantly, if he's coming up the wall, I don't even need to hit him if I come in and get stick first. Right? That's why they call it a stick check. See?
Miles!
Possession.
What does it feel like for a body check?
Epic. Epic.
Epic? You were obviously there when it changed from Pee-wee to bantam checking. What went into that?
When you start introducing legal body checking, it becomes more violent, in large part because of illegal activities which are perceived as body checking. Looking back now, I think most everyone would agree that it was very effective. There's been research since which has shown a very dramatic reduction in injury risk at the Pee-wee level. Many of our elite coaches feel that skill development, player development is enhanced because time can now be spent on skating, stick handling, shooting, thinking the game, whereas players before were intimidated, possibly afraid to gain possession of the puck or even try to gain possession of the puck because they were fearful they were going to get hit by their opponent. So I think there's many positives to it. It will always be controversial, and I think that we all need to work together to make hockey safer for all participants.
Tryouts start in April, so you only have 4 months to have turned 13. The rest are going literally head-on into checking at 12 years old. 12 months difference in development at this age is immense, and it can really be unfair. Doctors studied the effects of checking at the Pee-wee level, which starts at 10 years old, and determined that it was too dangerous to keep checking at that level. So guess what would happen if they studied it at the bantam level, which starts at 12? It would be banned there as well. All they did was shift the danger up the road. There are just too many underdeveloped and underskilled kids at 12 years old. I have an undersized 12-year-old going into tryouts who is going to face 13-year-olds and older 12-year-olds, and I am scared for him.